My name is Chris Watts. I'm doing my communication speech for Brenda Armentrout, and welcome to Broomfield, Colorado. About 70 degrees, and it's awesome outside, so welcome. I'm doing my speech on relationship deterioration and repair, and this is my PowerPoint to help me. Deterioration. The relationship begins to fall apart, crumble, or fail. You have weakening bonds. You get bored of the everyday routine, and you get distractions such as work, hobbies, relationships, no matter how harmless, even at the job. You might meet a new person, and it could strengthen into something else, and could weaken the bond you have with the partner you have. You spend less time with each other, and sometimes you have no time to maintain the relationship. Sometimes in a relationship, you maybe make promises that can turn into a major betrayal, or minor arguments that could turn into things where you could say spiteful comments, which turn into bigger problems. The first phase of deterioration is interpersonal dissatisfaction, which when you become unhappy with all the everyday interactions with you and your partner. You also begin to view your future with your partner as a negative future. And the second phase is interpersonal deterioration, which you start to grow farther and farther apart. You share less of your free time with each other. You have more awkward silences at dinner, or when you're just out by yourself, you don't talk at all. You disclose less of your feelings, and you show less affection toward each other. When you have good communication, you show more nonverbal communication, which is the majority of the messages we send, like through gestures, facial expressions, eye contact, the tone of your voice. And there's many types of forms of communication these days, and it's the most successful groundwork for relationships. A few quotes that I've done research on from Elaine Schoenberg. All relationships problems stem from poor communication skills, which is very true. And another quote from Schoenberg and Sorjan: you can't communicate while you're checking your BlackBerry, watching TV, or flipping through sports section, which is very true. With technology nowadays, you'll be on your iPhone, your BlackBerry, at a restaurant, and you'll see two people at a table, and you'll see both of them on their phones, either Facebook comment status, or maybe playing a game. And there's no communication at all. Commitment is the degree of commitment affects your relationship. According to Hirofumi, not surprisingly, commitment is especially strong when individuals are satisfied with their relationship, and grows weaker as individuals become less satisfied. You have to ask yourself 3 questions when you're in a relationship. Do I have a desire to keep this relationship going? Do I have a moral obligation to stay in this relationship? Or is it a necessity for me to stay in this relationship? According to my research, sometimes a necessity could be children. Sometimes when you have children and your relationship starts to deteriorate, a child could help repair it. All relationships are held together in part by a form of commitment, either based on desire, obligation, or necessity. And when the commitment is strong enough to hold the relationship together, you avoid arguing about minor disagreements, and you support one another. When commitment is weak, the relationship is full of doubt, and the relationship deteriorates faster. You have 2 types of deterioration. You have sudden and you have gradual. Sudden would be an example of infidelity. When somebody is not faithful to their partner, the partners realize that the relationship cannot be sustained. Gradual would be if you met somebody at work, or a new friendship has occurred, and as it goes on, you see that, okay, maybe this relationship has more potential than the relationship I have with my partner. And that would gradually push the old relationship out and push the new relationship in. Reasons relationships start to fall apart. Sometimes you no longer find your partner attractive, physically or in their personality. When you're in a relationship, you have to show desire, lust towards your partner. Sometimes when you get married, that the lust and the desire kind of falls by the wayside a little bit. But if you want your relationship to keep going, I would suggest maybe go to a place where you first met, or go bungee jumping, go somewhere that will bring the excitement back. You no longer experience closeness, or when your differences become more important than the similarities, you just pick apart your partner, and you don't see anything that you have in common anymore. You just see something he or she does, and it just gets on your nerves, and you just can't let that go. And you feel you might do better with someone else that you've met. You think that you can no longer that your partner is someone that you can't be with. When you feel you are putting more into the relationship than you are getting out. According to Bloomstein and Schwartz, when a relationship breaks up, it's generally the more attractive one that leaves, which I agree with somewhat and then I disagree with. When in repair, the stage is not always pursued. Sometimes people, when the relationship starts to dissolve, repair is not an option and they want to get away and start new. When you want to go into repair, you need to analyze what went wrong and consider what ways of solving the problems. You need to consider changing your behavior or perhaps changing your expectations for your partner. And you might also want to evaluate how you could feel in the relationship if it had ended. One of the first stages of repair you need to recognize, identify the problem, what changes you need to make the relationship better. Avoid words like always and never. If you say this to your partner, it just makes the relationship makes it backtrack. You'll never get to the repair stage. You need to take responsibility for your feelings and not blame your partner. And you need to be descriptive when discussing grievances. Resolution and conflict resolution. You need to look closely for relational messages that will help clarify motivations and needs. Exchange perspectives and see the situation as your partner does. You need to own your own feelings and thoughts. Use active listening techniques. Listen to your partner. Make sure they feel wanted. Make sure that they know that you're there and not in space somewhere thinking about the baseball game that's coming up or the football game that's coming up, which I sometimes do. Think clearly before saying things you may later forget. Don't just blurt out something. Just think about it. Don't just, if it comes to your mind, then it might be wrong. I do that too. And keep channels of communication open. Always disclose your feelings. Don't keep things bottled up because it will later come back to bite you. Possible solutions. Discuss solutions that both you and your partner win. Don't have a win-lose solution. The win-lose solution, sometimes when somebody loses, you'll have hostility and you'll have resentment. Sometimes they may not show it, but they will be thinking it. Need to affirm each other. Support each other, positive evaluations, positive feelings. Always disclose your feelings, as I said. And cherish the gestures. It's a smile, a wink, a kiss, maybe just a hug, anything at all. Solutions into normal behavior. Say you're sorry. Sometimes it takes a lot to admit that just to say you're sorry, but it helps. Risk rejection by making the first move. Be willing to change, to adapt, to take a new task and responsibility. And in conclusion, I'd like to say that relationships are hard, but they're worth it in the end. And as the Swedish proverb says, a double joy is a shared joy, and a double sorrow is not a shared sorrow. Thank you.